Alright, well this is going to be the ninth time trying to get this video together, but I figure it's something that needs to be said. Um, I've had a really tough time rolling this over my head and exactly how I'm going to say it, and even this time it might not come out 100%, accurate and organized. In all actuality, I'm a pretty chaotic person, but a few things I figure need to be said about free speech and at what point do you cut off free speech, and a little bit of Tariq Nasheed and a little bit of Richard Spencer sprinkled on top just to make it, tasty. But free speech to me, I think, is one of the biggest things that we have in the Western world. Unless it's Germany or Canada, but free speech is there because it protects the citizens from the government and allows us to look at the government and say when they're doing something wrong or when they're messing up, and it allows us to speak freely politically in any circumstance at any time about what we want. Now, obviously, there are certain situations where your free speech is, not necessarily withheld from you, but, it tends to be a little more restricted, like when you're in court or whatever, But for the sake of argument, I'll just say free speech in general. But the reason why I was talking about like Tariq Nasheed and Richard Spencer is because they're two sides to the same coin. They're both extremely racist, black, and then white. One's alt-right, one's probably SJW as fuck and super liberal, but the thing is I don't think either of them should ever be silenced. Not because I think that their ideas are right or people should actually listen to them. I think it's just that I think that the more that they speak and the more things that they say, the more people look at them and go, "You're just a fucking idiot." Like, I'm not gonna believe what you have to say because I know what you're saying is wrong, not because the color of your skin or the identity politics that you try to push forward. It's just that what you're saying is inherently wrong, and I don't have to use a whole lot of logic to figure that out. Now, the reason why I'm dealing with all this is because of between Tariq Nasheed's fucking tweets on his Twitter and driving home today, seeing a bunch of college students holding up signs that say hate speech isn't free speech and all this other fucking crap. I figured it was a good time to discuss whether or not what my feelings were about free speech and how I looked at it, and I've already pretty much outlined it for you. I think it is one of the greatest things that we as a civilization of human beings, the greatest ideal that we've ever had is that every person is allowed to have their political opinion, every person is allowed to say what they want. But the point that I say that it should be cut off is when you're trying to sow the seeds of war or strife or civil war, for example. Like, you can't go to a public place and talk about blowing that place up, and you can't go to a theater and yell fire while you're in it, kind of stuff. But other than that, everything else is fine. Everything else is fair game. You can be a white supremacist, you can be a black supremacist. Either way, I don't care. I mean, well, I do care, and I have strong opinions either way, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to try to tell you that you can't say what you want to say. Now, the reason why I felt so compelled to make this video out of my regular schedule is because I have something planned for tomorrow, and it's not really necessarily related to this. It's related to something else, and I kind of don't want to spoil it, but I felt like I needed to say something because my political opinions have kind of shifted a lot as I get older, as a lot of people do. You get older, you get wiser, you experience things, and your viewpoints change. They may not change a lot, but they do change. And I remember when I was, I don't know, probably 13 or 14, I started actually just dabbling in politics and religion and all this, typical teenage shit. Like, I started off as somewhat of a liberal, like, not pretty left-leaning, but left-leaning. And then, well, ironically, both my parents tend to be a little on the right-leaning. I wouldn't say like Republican or conservative. I'd say they're right-leaning. Like, they have the way that they think, and all me and both of my siblings all think a little bit differently. We all disagree on certain things, which is actually kind of awesome in its own way because I'm allowed to have political discussions with people that disagree with me without it becoming violent. But the reason why my opinions have changed so much is because of free speech. Is because I'm allowed to meet people in the street or in bars or whatever and have conversations with them, and not every person agrees on everything. You're never going to take two people, put them in a room together, and have them discuss multiple topics and have them agree on every single fucking thing. It's not going to happen. People's opinions change. This is the reason why I feel like I need to make this video, because I see people saying, you know, like Bill C-16 or whatever it was in Canada and stuff like this. This isn't Western culture. This isn't how we're supposed to work. Like, I understand you want to protect people's feelings, but at the end of the day, everybody's feelings are different. You can't protect everybody. What you should do is you should have it open, and if that person misgenders you or whatever, don't talk to them and don't communicate with that person. It's as simple as that. You don't. There's nothing in the law books that says you have to talk to people. You don't. And if people disagree with you and you don't want to talk to them, that's fine. I'm just saying that you should have political dissonance around you, because if you don't, then everything becomes an echo chamber, and everybody that would disagree with you, you don't want to listen to, because you're afraid it's going to offend your sensibilities, or it's going to actually change you into something that you're not. As far as the whole grand scheme of things and free speech is the reason. Another big reason why I came to the conclusion I need to make this video is because I'm seeing this hate speech word, this hate speech term thrown around a lot. Hey, look, hate speech is speech. Free speech. It never specifies. It doesn't say free nice speech. It just says free speech. Those two words, and that's it. And the people that are saying hate speech need to understand that. You can say what you want to say. People are going to disagree with you. Discuss. And at the end of the day, you're probably not going to change each other's minds, but you'll probably come out both better people at the end of the day. Anyway, tomorrow, more focused video, a lot more organized. This one was very chaotic, and like I said, this is like my 9th time trying to do this, but I just figured I needed to get this off my chest because it's been mulling around in my brain all day. Anyway, have a good night.